Greetings. It is very late Saturday night. I am just getting in from work. That's not true. I actually got in from work a little while ago, but I've been winding down. I have a stopped up nose because I've been weeping. The Cancer full moon finally caught up with me. It's been a busy weekend, and I've had all of this back to back filming and stuff going on, trying to catch up with a bunch of things that I wanted to do and release at the beginning of the year. And so all of the things that the full moon has been bringing up have just been simmering. And I've had moments of these epiphanies and realizations, but I haven't really had time to process the feelings or have the feelings. There hasn't been time for me to just think about something and cry. So it took hold of me this evening. It was one of those tables that pushed me over the edge. Every once in a while, I'll have a table that is a big ticket table. And I won't see it coming, and they'll blindside me by tipping me 5% because they don't understand that even though they rack up a huge check, they still have to tip 20% because I have to tip out based on the percentage of my sales. So basically those people stole from me. I almost paid to be to work at night, so definitely did not make what I would have wanted to make on any night of the week, let alone a Saturday night. So I was pretty peeved, and it was this well-meaning woman. I had a great rapport with this table. So party of 6. It was an older woman who was make sure I get the check. And I'm okay, cool. And I didn't want to make any assumptions, but usually any person that's make sure I get the check, you're uh-oh. This could go one of two ways. And it went not the great one of two ways. So it takes me being tired and then something to just be oh, for me to finally give in to sometimes the emotional breakdown that I need. So I sat here for a few minutes and did the weeping that I needed to do. And I probably still need to have some more, but I really wanted to make our video tonight, so I just had to dry it up. I had to pull myself together like the Walking Dead people when their families are being eaten and they're just get over it, keep going. But we're here. It's Saturday night, and we haven't been able to do this for a couple of weeks because it was New Year's Eve last weekend. And then I think the week before that, it was Christmas Eve. I don't know. It's been a couple of weeks since we've done a Secret Teachings of Jesus. And if you are unfamiliar with this segment, hello, my name's Liz. Welcome to the channel. On Saturday night, I like to read out of the Gnostic Gospels. Specifically right now, the Nag Hammadi scriptures. And basically I was just really curious and I wanted to read them, but I didn't have a lot of time. So I thought I would just do it as a segment with you. So what happens is I usually come in late on Saturday night from work or from partying. And it's good to study the Hebrew wisdom before or around the midnight hour. There's benefits to it. You get this extra surrounding light of protection that sort of it's you store it like a battery. More wisdom is illuminated to you. It's a very powerful time. The veil is thin, so you could be more prone to insight and prophecy and things. So it's great to study at midnight. Also, you're pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, just even by trying to stay up when you're tired and do something that you don't feel like doing, right? In Kabbalah, we learned that when we do an act of sharing that puts us out of our comfort zone and we don't feel like it, it's those are the times that it's the most powerful and the most effective. So what sucks is that when I come in from work and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so late, I'm so tired and I don't feel like doing a video, I remember that the ones that I'm like don't want to do the most are going to be the most important. So I'm like, oh no, can't get out of it now. So basically I go through when I get home and I find a passage that stands out to me, and I read it once or twice, and if I'm like connecting with it and I get some stuff that's channeling through, I'm like, okay, this is the passage. So I have just read what I'm about to read to you, and I will give you the impressions that I'm channeling through, that I'm getting, and we'll just unpack line for line. I'll read it to you first, and then we'll go back and unpack. And this is one of those weeks where it's one sentence. Every week we have like a 45-minute episode. Let's see if we can get out of this without it being 45 minutes this week. All right, let us begin. So I can't talk now because now my nose is totally stopped up. And so now it's like, I feel weird. Okay. Sowing and reaping the truth. Truth, which has existed from the beginning, is sown everywhere. And many see it being sown, but few see it being reaped. I'll read that again. Sowing and reaping the truth. Truth, which has existed from the beginning, is sown everywhere. And many see it being sown, but few see it being reaped. Okay, I think if we read that one more time, I can get the inflection right, and I can sound like a person and not like a robot that you would hear on a customer service call. Okay. Sowing and reaping truth. Truth, which has existed from the beginning, is sown everywhere. And many see it being sown, but few see it being reaped. A couple of layers here. First of all, just let's start with truth. Truth, which has existed from the beginning. Truth is what reality is at a seed level. Our intention, our motive, our vibration, all of these things are what we create with at a seed level. So the vibration of a situation, the energy of a situation, like your intent, your emotion, the truth underlying appearances, like that creates your reality. So it's not only is the truth the signature vibration of everything that is, like you can't deny it, you can't fake it, right? Because it's the essence of the thing or the situation. So truth, which has existed from the seed level, meaning the vibration that has existed from the seed level, the energy of the situation that has existed from the start of it, the energy that created the reality, the essence of reality, is sown everywhere. So the vibration of the thing informs the thing. Truth, which has existed from the beginning, is sown everywhere. And many people see it being sown, but few people see it being reaped. So I really think, like, on one level, at the metaphysical level, I think this is talking about, like, truth being energy, pure energy, the vibration of a situation. So if, for instance, when I was freelancing in TV, film, and video, say I was looking to book a gig, but I'm being intentional about the kind of career that I'm creating and the kind of life that I'm living. So I'm being particular about the kind of jobs that I wanted to work, right? Or at least I would take that into consideration if I had options. So say I got a call about something like a gig, and I was waiting to hear back from another one that I really wanted, but I was worried about money. And I just I don't know, I reacted quickly, and I didn't think, and I acted in an impulsive way because I wanted to grasp at the opportunity while it was there, and I hadn't heard back from the dream job yet, but this one was available. And I was scared and I was nervous, and I just wanted to, make sure I did the right thing, and, all of that scarcity, right? It was those kinds of situations where I would take something and grasp at something like in a panic, and it would be the seed level in that thing would the whole thing would be corrupted from the start. Like, things would just start going wrong, or it would be a terrible gig, or like the people would be shady, and like maybe like my check would get lost, or whatever. Because at the seed level of the beginning of the thing, like when I took that job, or when you make sure that you're in a good state before you make the call, before you send the email, right? Make sure you prime the energy that you want to plant that seed with, the truth, right? That's why lately we've been talking about why it's so important now that as we're reapproaching our life and reapproaching it as a conscious co-creator, creating the life that we really think that we, like, our higher self wants to express through us, like our dream, that we can picture, but we just haven't quite gotten ourselves like there yet. It's like when we're taking those actions, we need to get our energy right and start from that very innermost inner place in the energetic level, right? Make sure that our thought realm, our emotional realm, our energy is all pumped, primed, and in alignment, right? To set forth and create that thing. And if it's off, if there's, ill intent, if there's hidden motives, if there's hidden conflicting desires, the whole thing is going to be off. The whole thing is going to be perverted or corrupted from the beginning, and it's never going to be, it's like there's always going to be turbulence at the very least, right? So the seed is very important. What we create something with, that beginning energy, matters. Where something comes from matters. You reap what you sow. It's like the idea around blood money, right? Money gotten at the expense of somebody else is cursed, right? And it brings negativity. So that gets me into like Tikkune healing, which is a concept we talk about in Kabbalah. Tikkune is spelled Tikkune, and it's a Hebrew word that talks about basically the purpose of the soul and the process of the soul and the assignment of the soul, life after life, as an expression of the spark. We are a piece of the Father, right? We're a piece of the spark that is the whole of all that is, and we're a unique expression of that spark, so that spark can be conscious and have the experience of life through each individual unique person. And so from the beginning, we have that piece of spark, which is our spirit. And then we have a layer that is our soul. And the soul is like the intermediary between the wholeness and fullness and completion of the light that is our spirit and our human self, which is the personality, which is the ego, you know, and the heart and the feelings. And so in between all of that is the soul, right? It's the middle of the Oreo. And the soul, it like has these assignments and it has a map for its life. And the soul has an imprintation of all of your talents, all of your gifts, all of your weaknesses, all of your, you know, shortcomings. It's going to have all of the important people and key players in your life, the relationship dynamics that you have with them, what kind of parents you have, who your parents are, how they treat you, probably how they wound you. How they wound you is the most important part. That's the biggest part of the assignment. That's like someone throwing the ball to you and you then hitting it. Like the wound is the ball. So in this life, we have this assignment to do the task of soul correction. And basically, this is just for divine to experience the fullness of the material world of being human. And we're here with that full light within us at the very center, at the very deepest core. And there's a veil that is drawn around that light so that we go through a process of earning, of remembering, of appreciating again. And as we get closer to that light, what we're doing is we're doing this spiritual transformation where we're breaking these layers of negativity called clay pot. I like to think of it, the word clay pot, because sometimes clay pots start chipping off when they get dry, like layers of the pot start chipping off. So these layers of negativity we have them for lifetimes, right? And we're slowly but surely trying to overcome our weaknesses, overcome our darkness, and we're doing that spiritual alchemy. We're turning our darkness into light, and we're breaking those layers to reveal more of the radiance of divine through us. So part of that process is, how do we offload these layers of negativity? You know, it's like we can think of it as like a scale, and you can see my scale in the background right there, or I'm like pointing to it on my screen, but like here's my scale, right? And so pretend that one side of the scale represents all the positive things that you do in this life, all the acts of sharing, all of the love that you gave and the compassion and all of the heartfelt sincerity that you put into life. All of the struggles that you went through, like actually that's more process oriented. But all the light is what the light that you were able to reveal, the light of the Creator, the light of goodness, the light of love in this world. The negativity is the bad that you've added, or the darkness that you didn't change. This could be like, you can add more negativity by just running your mouth about people, gossiping, spreading rumors, mindlessly talking about people and stuff that's not your business. Like that adds negativity. Negative actions, hurtful things that you say to people or about people, selfish actions that you take, dark, malicious things that you do, mindless, thoughtless things that we don't even think about that add negativity. So the scales, you know, I mean, they're probably more negative than they are positive. There's ways that we work off these layers of negativity in this life. And part of it is through acts of sharing, acts of kindness, spiritual growth and transformation. It's not just enough to study spirituality, get the concepts. You have to actually use them. You have to let them shape you and change you, right? And direct you. You have to use them for good, not for your own gain. It's an expression of the Creator. It's not to glorify you personally, although that kind of like happens as a byproduct, right? You become more radiant. So truth, which has existed from the beginning, is sown everywhere. So the truth for you, that scale, you're adding to it or subtracting to it at any given time. You can work off negativity, like when you fall ill, or when you're sick, or you have like people who have chronic illness or like serious illness. That is actually allowing them to work off those shells of negativity. And this isn't necessarily like we've done something in this life to deserve this. It's just, this is like what we're all assigned to do. We all have, we're all given our own fair share of energy to transmute in this life. We're given darkness to make into light. That's one of our jobs. It's one of our responsibilities. So yes, there may have been something in another life that you don't even have any recollection of, that you don't even feel that you have a connection to, that you earned yourself some pain in this life to burn off that negativity. If you have a public embarrassment, that is good. You're offloading your negativity, the light side is growing. You go through pain, you go through suffering, you go through heartache, it balances out the scale. Now, Jesus, the Christ, came to save us from this fate, in a way, of, it's not that, like, if we think we're going to get out of this process, we're still not going to build the fulfillment that we're looking for. Like, I think that's the problem with, like, modern Christianity, where people are like, why isn't it working? Why am I not fulfilled and satisfied? And it's like, you have to participate in the process. It's a devotion. I don't know. To me, the modern idea of Christianity has been watered down so much that I don't even feel anything when people say it. To me, I like to describe myself as a disciple of Christ, because I think then that it implies that I'm actively in a discipline of learning how to embody Christ consciousness and to be like the Christ and to listen to what Jesus said, not just get obsessed about like, oh, Jesus, we love Jesus. It's like Beatlemania over like the porcelain plate version of him. It's like, oh, so reductive. But it's more than that. It's like, listen to the way that he was trying to teach us to perceive, to heal, to be, to have our beingness, to be liberated, to be at peace, to be at one. We are one with all that is. And he was just trying to help us live in a way that like we could have that serenity here and now. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Just be there. It's a choice. It's a mindset. It's an instant shift. So, truth, which has existed from the beginning, is sown everywhere. And many see it being sown, but few see it being reaped. Now, let's talk about this Tikkune correction. And it's kind of like karma, right? So it's pretty obvious when people are like, you see seeds being sown. You're like, oh, well, they're going to have, he's going to have it coming to him, or she's, oh, she's better watch her back for doing that. When people are up to no good, it's really easy to judge them. It's really easy to see people who are like going down like a wrong path or about to make a mistake. If somebody's acting a fool or acting like a dick, everybody's like, yeah, like this is gonna come back and bite you in the ass, like karma's a bitch. Like everybody can see when you're like racking up a debt. But what we don't see is when the debt comes to collect. It's always unfair then when life gives us like something unpleasant, like tonight. I had to remind myself that at some point I'm sure that I have done something to deserve getting stiffed. At some point, I'm sure. I can think of many times in my life that I've earned at least this, if not more. So, but that's pretty cool, because when you start doing spiritual work and you become a sincere pilgrim, student, disciple, you get under what is called direct supervision of the Creator. And when your truth is planted, like when you take an action and you put a cause out there, the effect will happen quickly. So if you do something that's shady, you're going to get that ruler on the hand a lot faster and a lot stiffer than, say, if you're just some average Joe who's not really trying to grow and who doesn't really care about spirituality and they're just coasting through. At that point, the Creator and the heavens and the energies, they're not really interested in them. They're not giving us anything to work with. Like, we don't care about them. They're kind of a lost cause, honestly, because you have to choose this. It has to be your own free will. You have to participate willingly. So the stakes are higher for people who are doing the work, because not only are we like, we know better and we know the consequences. And so there is a faster, sterner result, reaping, if you will. And the wiser you get, you can pray, you can use this, one of the 72 names of God to actually develop a sense of prophecy where you can look at your life and understand how the pieces are connecting. Like, oh, well, that makes sense that happened. Like, I totally brought that on myself. You know what I mean? And it's not saying that like we deserve, we get what's coming to us. It's not like that. It's about taking responsibility and being an adult, and a grown-up in this world. And I think that we've fallen out of that in recent years. We're trying to coddle ourselves too much. It's like, the pendulum swings too far all the time. What we're trying to find here is balance. So take responsibility, right? Without beating yourself up over it. That's the paradox, that we have to be in balance with at any given time as a spiritual student. It's having the motivation and the fervor to want to grow and evolve and change, and embracing your flaws and your weaknesses and your mistakes, while also wanting to do better without feeling bad about yourself. Oh man, it's a tightrope walk, that's for sure. So the truth which has existed from the beginning is sown everywhere. And many see it being sown, but few see it being reaped. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to see when things are being reaped. It's a lot easier to see things when they're being sown. It's a lot easier to see when someone's putting in the hard work, right? And they're like maybe going to school and working extra jobs, but it's hard. And maybe it's like when you do these acts of kindness, right? Like tonight, this is not only just tonight. Like I was like really genuinely, like I like taking care of people. Like I thought I had really good rapport with that table. What I had to realize is that like that table didn't intentionally like short me money. They didn't even realize what they were doing. They don't know how it works. They probably thought that was like a really great tip. And yay. And it's like they probably just think that once their check starts going up a certain amount that you just don't tip beyond like that. Like that's just a great tip. Period. Like that's where they hit their ceiling. Like they just didn't know. They didn't hate me, right? But at the same time, I'm like, what did I do to deserve this? Or it's like, I am so well-meaning. Like, I gave them such good service. Like, why didn't I get it? It's like we want everything to line up very clean, very neat. This is my gift to you. It comes back to me. That is a transaction, right? If you're just giving out into the world, you can't really keep score too closely because it will come back. Even though it's like so infuriating in the moment. Like, I can't tell you how many times that I've tried to tithe or like donate to charity, and it is like ended up costing me something like really dear. Like there have been times in my life where I have, not now fortunately, but like I have overdrawn my account like in times where I was like trying to like contribute and share and like do the right thing, and then like it came back and bounced back and like bit me in the ass somehow. Or like I told the truth once in like a situation. I was pulled over in a traffic stop and I had a migraine, and I also happened to have like weed in the car at the time, and they kind of could smell it, and I had told the truth, and it was like I had some earlier because of the migraine. It wasn't like a lot or anything. It's very nominal, but like I just needed something to like help me survive this pain, like get me through my work day, and and that was a really bad idea. Like never tell the truth to a police officer. So it's like, you're like, why am I putting, like, I put all this good in the world. It's like, it never seems to like, it only ever turns out bad. But it's not that. It's like, it comes back when you don't expect it. It comes back in ways that maybe aren't connected. And it will come back. And it'll come back when you need it. Or when it'll be like the prime moment. When the moment's right, it will. And sometimes things are very straightforward, and it's like, yeah, it's a very clean, neat exchange of give and take, right? Life, you show up and you do your best, and life returns the good pat on the back and a little like, blue ribbon. And it doesn't always work like that. Sometimes you do everything you can. Sometimes you try really hard. Sometimes you're the honest person. Sometimes you give. Sometimes your heart's in it. And sometimes it's just the car drives by and just splashes water in your face. You're just like, it'll come back around later. We just don't see it when it's reaped. And so regardless of whether you're reaping, like whatever's happening to you, you're reaping something. And it's a lot more empowering if you can accept that even if it wasn't something in this life that you did, you're working off something that you did, maybe from the past. And it's just healing your heart more and more because it's offloading all that darkness. So it's actually a gift. It's just not a very fun one to open. It's like socks. It's like, oh, well, I needed this. Thank you. Now I don't have to buy it. I think that's really all I wanted to say about this, I think. Sowing and reaping the truth. Truth, which has existed from the beginning, is sown everywhere. And many see it being sown, but few see it being reaped. Yeah, I mean, it's not that you can't see it being reaped. It just says that few see it being reaped. And when you start understanding life is always telling you the truth in some form, even if it's presenting an illusion to you, the illusion is there as a catalyst for you to have a revelation of truth. The idea is for you to break through the illusion. That's the assignment. So just know, it's like when the Bible verse that says, vengeance is mine, or like, don't don't seek vengeance. Vengeance is mine. It's like, don't get your hands dirty. Don't put more negativity out in the world. It'll all get balanced out, right? Vibration is vibration. Like, you will only resonate with what you are. And if someone's putting out negativity, they're going to be attracting it too. And they're going to have their own process. And it doesn't matter if you can't see them reaping it, it will come back. So you don't have to get involved. You can just leave it to them. They're going to reap what they sow. You will reap what you sow as well. And so that means for good and for bad. And maybe it doesn't happen immediately, and maybe it's not obvious, the connections, but the energy is what's doing it, right? The energy is what's telling the truth. The energy is what's creating the situation. The energy is the essence that is building the reality. That's why the seed level is so important. Anything you start from a place of peace, of certainty, of 100%, like, don't be indecisive. Don't look over your shoulder. Don't take it back. Like, whatever you're doing, go full on, right? Be committed. Because you want that seed level to be on point. Because whatever's coming and growing, it's made out of whatever it started as. All right, you guys, I think this is it. Sowing and reaping the truth. Sowing and reaping truth. Truth which has existed from the beginning. I don't like the way I said that. Truth which has existed from the beginning is sown everywhere. And many see it being sown, but few see it being reaped. But few see it being reaped. This is like me doing my own takes. Like, all right, take 76. Now, this time say it more like, and truth has existed before. These pretzels are making me thirsty. That was it. That's the one. All right, y'all. This has been Secret Teachings of Jesus. This has been the book of Philip. Oh, I didn't even tell y'all that. We were reading out of the Gospel of Philip. Which is a gospel full of these cryptic, short passages that are sort of like mental yoga. Some of the other gospels are more narrative, but Gospel of Philip is very abstract. All right, you guys, I hope that Jesus loves you. He does for sure. Yeah, and another thing is that, when you, I guess, open up, the language around it is like you ask Jesus into your heart, but it's like you open yourself up. It's like you do a heart activation to activate that Christ consciousness. And it's something that you invite as a process of that you're supposed to be participating in the ascension of your soul. Now, I think just by believing in the Christ as the Messiah and saying that prayer and inviting the Christ into the heart, I think that does save your soul. But I don't think it guarantees you happiness and satisfaction and fulfillment on earth without you participating in the process, right? It's the relationship that you're building. But it's not just a relationship with a person who's like sitting there on the other side of like an invisible curtain trying to make you feel better. It's the spiritual journey that we're all taking to hopefully transform and to ascend and to overcome ourselves, our lower selves, and embrace our humanity and our flaws and our divinity as well. All right, y'all. I hope you have a good night. We are at 39 minutes for one sentence. Not 45. All right, see you tomorrow. I promise I'm going to start these month by month predictions. I was weeping earlier. I just couldn't. I didn't have time. I'm not going to stay up any later. I'm just too tired. All right, y'all. Ciao. I'll do them tomorrow, or like the next time I have, maybe like Monday. I won't be off, but I'll go in later on Monday. I'm going later tomorrow too. And I have my Sunday morning routine for me that I'm doing. So maybe I'll film some tomorrow before work. Otherwise, it'll be coming soon. Ciao.